Can you still make money in real estate? In this video, we're gonna be breaking down this deal and how much money this house made us.
So stick around because we will be breaking down all the construction costs in this video, as well as all the other costs associated with this project, the good, the bad, the ugly, and yes, at the end of the video, we will be showing our final profit number.
Today, we're gonna run over to the title office, sign some documents, and get paid. That's what we do all this for. You gotta get paid or else it ain't worth nothing. So for the viewers who have not seen the series yet, we bought this house from an investor who kind of ran out of money on the deal.
He had began flipping it. He was an out-of-state investor. He ran into a contractor who ripped him off. He had an overdue tax bill for 2 years. So there was a lot of issues with the selling process that prevented other buyers from picking this property up. So when we first found this property, it was listed at $79,000. Me and Blake scheduled a viewing. We went out and checked out the property. So we walked the building, kind of checked the status of the construction that was already there. After that, we were able to just hop into Blake's truck in the front of the house and grab a napkin and come up with a rough budget to figure out what it was going to cost us to bring this house to the finish line.
We're gonna find out.
Now that we had the rehab price, I could kind of figure out what I needed to get the house for. We settled on making an initial offer for $55,000. So by the end of the day, to our surprise, the seller of the building actually accepted our offer price at $55,000. His one thing was that we needed to help him with his $3,000 tax bill. I said I'd gladly do that to get this house and this lot at $55,000, which is basically the lot price. So we got the house for free on top of it. So the next step, as soon as we had this house under contract, was to get all of our contractors in here to make sure our numbers on our initial rough budget were correct.
So one of the biggest struggles about getting all these prices together is having to get the contractors on site in your 7-day option period. That's one of our biggest struggles, but in that 7-day period, we've been able to get our framer and cornice guy out here, our house leveler. Electrician just gave us a pretty rough number. The only one we didn't have is a plumber, but we should be able to float that one and maybe make some numbers work with that, just to get something to present to the bank. But that's the biggest struggle in the option period, is getting numbers in time.
Now that our contractors had given us bids for the jobs, we could feel confident in our rehab budget and submit it to the bank. So we do use a lender for the purchase and for the construction budget that we use to fix the house. So we have to submit a budget to the bank showing them what we think we're going to need for the project. They have to go over the numbers, take it to the committee, do their due diligence, make sure it looks reasonable for them, and then they'll grant us the loan, which they did. And as most of you know, real estate transactions don't happen overnight. So after our contract period, we finally closed on the deal.
We've made it. We're here at closing. This is probably one of the most difficult transactions we've had to do. I've had to do. I don't know, he's a realtor. I'm sure he's dealt with some difficult ones, but
Yep.
it's been stressful. We've been on a contract for probably how many days?
70.
Like about 5 extensions.
70 days.
70
over 2
days.
months. However, sometimes the best deals are the trickiest, because when you're getting a property at such a good deal like this, typically the seller owes more on it than you're even buying it from. So that was the case, and the seller had to work with different creditors to remove the liens off this property one by one to get us to this beautiful point to close this great deal out.
As soon as we closed on the property and it was ours, we started on construction. We wasted no time. We started the next Monday. We got the crews out there and really started on the structural stuff. We had to replace this wall that was leaning, basically open it up, reframe the whole thing from scratch. Once we got that done, we started prep work on adding the second bathroom. When we bought the house, it was a 3-1, 3 beds, 1 bath. And if you know anything about real estate, those houses don't sell, and we'll talk about that here shortly. But we began the process of getting ready for that second bathroom by chipping out this plumbing so we could tie into it the new shower, the new toilet, everything like that.
So when we talk about value add investing, is what you're doing as a flipper. You're a value add investor. You got to take a property that's at a certain value, low value, hopefully, when you buy it. Your money is made when you make that purchase. If you make or break it if you buy it at the right price or if you don't buy it at the right price. If you overpay, no matter what you do, no matter how many things you add to the property, it's never gonna be a good deal. It's a smaller home, just under 1,100 square foot, but we got it for $55,000. I mean, that's the value of the lot, so you really couldn't get it for much cheaper than that. Let's go over here. This is what added the most value in this whole deal. I mean, you can talk about the nice finishes, the appliances, but it's just bread and butter real estate. This room right here is what does it. It's the second bathroom. This is now the master bathroom.
Which looked like this a few months ago. It was just actually a closet that had a washer and dryer connection in one of the smaller bedrooms. The house was the 3-1, so we knew we needed to add another bathroom.
You know, back in the day, they used to build 3-1 homes. They don't do that anymore. People, you know, they don't want a 3-1 home. They don't want one bathroom to share for a whole family. That's just stuff they did in the 20th century. And we've gotten away from that. Plumbing's cheaper, so you can add more bathrooms in homes. And that's what the market expects. You know, if you're a new home buyer yourself, you'll know you don't even probably look at homes on Zillow that have one. This room probably added, I mean, $60,000-$70,000 in value just right off the rip, adding that extra bathroom in. And this was just a little closet space when we bought it. And Blake did a great job at mapping it out, sketching it out, and adding this in here. We also have an in-unit washer dryer. That's obviously necessary for any primary residence. So super happy with the way this turned out here. Did a great tile job. You know, obviously the black, sleek, modern finishes. If you listen to our commenters though, you know, we did a horrible job picking out colors and finishes and everything, but everyone's got an opinion. Everybody's a critic on YouTube especially, so.
So compared to the Essex, the duplex rental, how we went with just Home Depot, unfinished stain grade cabinets, we slapped some stain on it, you know, 20 bucks, whatever that was. We did it ourselves with some rags. And then I think we did the prefab jobs over there, the prefab laminate. You know, those are just cost-effective ways to save on a rental property. They're gonna beat it up, they're gonna trash it, let them do that. As we're in a flip, you'll see here, like we did in the last videos, and now it's just, you know, premium granite, some nice, they're not custom built cabinets, but they're real plywood boxes, soft close, pre-finished. You know, they already come painted. Stainless steel appliances. At the rental, you know, we don't put bad stuff in there, but it's most of the time hand-me-downs. Here, everything's brand new. So just the different things you do, the luxuries you get, and the luxuries you want to try to, you know, get people to come and buy the home. So all things you can do to sell the house quicker, get more for your value, and get more on your return. So, well, we're closing on La Rosa. Like Andrew said, we didn't jump out the window.
Yes.
And we're back here, smiles on our faces, so that means it all worked out good.
Yeah, like Blake said when we got here, it's been about 5 months. I know the name of the series was a 45-day house flip.
5 months closing to closing, so
yes.
you know there's a lot of
there's
paperwork.
other things that have to happen in real estate other than just the construction. So the construction was 45 days. It took us a little extended time for our permitting to get our final electric connection. And then of course, all the things you have to do when you have to find your buyer. And we ran into kind of a pretty big hiccup with our first buyer. And we'll talk about that once we get upstairs with the title company. But at the end of the day, it's all about, you know, building a nice house and making some money off the deal. So
let's get upstairs. I had to get my complimentary coffee, of course.
How are you?
you're gonna be in our video.
Yeah, can you speak a little bit?
Hi, this is Crystal with Alamo Title. I'm delighted to be assisting these gentlemen with the sale of their transaction.
Wow, right off the dome.
So Crystal's an all-star. She's like our quarterback in the fourth quarter. During the contract period, she just coordinates with the seller, us, the buyer, the buyer's lender, the county to make sure the taxes are paid, and just kind of go over all the documents, make sure that everything's signed, all the I's are dotted, and the T's are crossed. So here, that's what you're doing. You get a lot of practice with your signature on closing day, and this is the best closing day. Purchase closing day is pretty good, but selling closing day is even better because you get paid at the end of it.
Bye.
All right, so we just closed the deal, got everything signed. We got our final statements, and we just got to wait for the buyer to come sign here. I think they're signing at 11. They'll send the wire over. It'll come to our bank account, and then we fly Mexico, blow it all. Now we got to figure out, did this deal make us money? A lot of people say that the real estate's not a good environment to make money in these days. Might as well just take your money and put it in the stock market. You still have great opportunities here in real estate, but it is a little bit more of a difficult environment than it was a couple years ago. So we purchased this house for $55,000. We've gone over it multiple times, but it was a distressed seller who needed to get out of the property. He needed help paying his property taxes, so we wrote a check for $30,000, and then we budgeted about $60,000 in renovation costs. So that would have put us at just over $100,000 in purchase cost, as well as construction costs. We had a plan of getting this thing done in 45 days of construction. We held to that timeline. When you're doing a flip, you really have to set yourself these timelines and you really have to be conservative with your underwriting and make sure your numbers are right, because one big mistake and the whole deal could go red. We did go over budget. We budgeted about 62. We ended up spending about 68 in construction costs, but that's fine because when I underwrote the deal, I made sure we left in a good float. I'd rather be conservative with my numbers than liberal with my numbers and then get burned in the end. Underwrote the sales price at $175,000. Now we both thought we could get more for that property than 175. We initially got the house under contract at $195,000, but unfortunately it was a VA loan. The appraiser came out and it failed to meet appraisal values, so they canceled the deal. They didn't have the money to make up the difference. We were willing to sell it for $195. The buyer was willing to buy it for $195, but the appraiser, the third party, came in and said this house isn't worth that.
That kind of cost us a little bit of time.
Yes.
That burned at least, took the house off the market for that whole process, which was probably 30 days, and then getting it back on the market next day, and now it restarts everything, reduce the price, get back under contract with these buyers, and that burns another 30 days. So potentially, the 5 months that we were here closing to back to closing on the sale, 2 months of those were just paperwork and realtors. So there's a lot of stuff that you don't think about on the timeline in the grand scheme that really makes deals prolong and drag out. So.
And during that time, you're paying mortgage. You're making your mortgage payments. You're paying the interest on the mortgage. You're paying your utilities. So that all affects the bottom line. It was an unfortunate thing that happened, but it also makes you nervous. So is this property going to be able to appraise for what you think it's going to appraise for now? And now we can't put it back at 195 because it's probably not going to appraise for that. So we made a reduction. We went to 179, and we ended up getting under contract at 175. Exactly what we started the underwriting process at. After the $55,000 of purchase price, the $71,000 in expenses, realtor fees, interest, mortgage payments, utilities, taxes. Uncle Sam, they're going to get their check. Our bottom line profit came out to $25,000 and $5.
The answer to your question, yes.
Can make money. It was a quick process for us. If this was your first deal ever doing a flip, it may be difficult. Luckily, we've got some experience in construction with Blake, but if we would have bought the house for $80,000, there goes your profit. It's evaporated. So it really all comes down to what you buy the house at. That's where the deal's made. If you buy it at a good price, you'll make money on it. A lot of flippers get burned by underestimating construction cost and then overpaying. You can maybe get away with doing one, but you can't get away with doing both. The ROI on that investment, so we put about $35,000 down on this deal. Our bank allowed us to take a construction loan. After putting $35,000 down, getting $25,000 back is about a 70% return on investment in just less than 5 months. So that's a great investment in our book. We want to shoot for more. We want to get 100% return or more.
Yeah, so the most valuable profit, aside the $25,000 is nice, but it's the knowledge you learn on every deal. Like this one taught us a bunch of what not to do and what to do, and same things that we already learned on the first deal. We took all our knowledge from the duplex, we rolled it into this flip, and now we're gonna take that and roll it into our next job. We're already trying to get under contract on another property, which we'll show you all soon. And we're just gonna keep compounding our knowledge, and then our profits should hopefully reflect that as well. And then of course, it's just those deals you come across. Like he said, it's all about what you get it at and what you can add. And then we got to pay attention to our appraisals because that kind of cost us a little bit of time, which equals money on this flip. So we'll try to be more realistic with our appraisals. Like he's saying, we're already super conservative, but square footage affected us, I think, on the appraisal. Other than that, I'm not really sure. It was a nice house. And now it's a nice home to somebody. So congratulations to y'all if y'all ever watch this video. And
that's it.
On to the next one.